This is a Special Project Standing Building Committee, March 11th, 2024, 5:15 p.m.
Okay. I'm on a different time zone, but 5:15 is the start of this meeting, and we only have a couple of items on the agenda, and
Yep.
I guess Sal, we'll start out with you.
Hi. Did Adam show up? Did we get the purchasing department here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, there we go. So, and Adam, jump in if I'm saying your spiel. We put the Holland Hill roof out to bid. We did a couple of extensions on the bid. We took in bids Friday morning, like at 9 o'clock. Low bidder this time is Young Developers with a price of, hang on, it was, I just lost the amount.
1.170400.
There you go. We have more than enough funding for this. Our funding for the Holland Hill roof project is $1,863,680. So we have plenty of money. Ken Lindsley and I did a scope review earlier today. Went as expected. The contractor had the correct answers to the questions we gave him. Fully covered the scope of the work. Gave us a preliminary schedule that would work for the project, and the recommendation would be to go with Young Developers.
Sal, do we know any projects that they've worked on? Have they done any stuff for the town of Fairfield?
Yeah, so a decade ago, more than a decade ago, they did several roofs for us, shingle roofs, Osborne Hill, Holland Hill, I'm trying to think where else, Dwight, and there was one other one.
Did you
say recently they've been doing flat work. They did the roof replacement at the new roof at the Holland Hill addition, and then they also won the bid for Mill Hill addition, which was done during the pandemic. So we have experience with them. They performed adequately on most of those projects. They underperformed a little bit on Mill Hill, which my recommendation would be to have Silver Petroselli give us a proposal for additional site visits during the construction to make sure we're keeping them on track.
Was it a schedule problem when you said they underperformed? Was it scheduling?
Manpower scheduling problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they just recently, Rodney can speak to this, the HVAC IAQ building committee recently put out a bid for the North Stratfield roof, along with repairs on two other buildings, and the selected contractor on that one is also Young Developers. So they are in town. So there's no black mark that we would disqualify them for.
Okay. Okay.
Sal,
can you just tell me?
This is Rod. I have one.
Yes, go ahead, Rod.
I have one question. Since they have won both, or potentially won both contracts, do they have the manpower, the sourcing to do both, all four of these projects?
They, so they have enough, they say they have enough manpower for all of the jobs. There's also another job that they're doing for Silver Petroselli in another municipality this summer, and they said they're fully staffed and that they can handle all of the projects.
Sal,
okay, that was.
One of the documents that they provided with their bid showed their work in progress,
Yes.
and they have contracts totaling over $18 million right now, with only $8.5 million of those contracts being completed so far, or work completed to date. So with that backlog, one of the projects they were doing was very close. It was a $5 million project. I think it's in Stanford. I'm not sure. But they still claim, with all that backlog of work that they currently have, and the 4 projects that you mentioned here with the rest of our team, they have the manpower to take care of it.
Yes. And I think the $5 million job that you're talking about is the one that Silver Petroselli is doing, and it's not Stanford, is it, Ken?
No, it's actually East Hartford. And again, as Sal mentioned, we did ask them repeatedly if they had the manpower for this, and they claimed that they, in fact, do.
Okay.
And we're, we are 3 months. We are 3 months before delivery, so it's not an unusual an unusual amount of work, given what these guys take on and how quickly the material goes down. So it's not that.
I had a couple of other questions. Are you going to be considering not requesting a 20-year bond? It was a deduct alternate.
No. The reason for that, and I'll explain, is that the products that are out there now are much better than they were 15, 20, 25 years ago. And the manufacturers are offering much longer warranty times. There are some systems that even go up to 30-year warranties. So Fairfield Public Schools thinks that that's a good risk. It helps risk management by getting those warranty claims, because we do pursue them. The reason that we put out a alternate for a deduct is that the state only pays for 20-year. They require a 20-year warranty, but they don't want to spend extra for a 25-year. So the upcharge on that is minimal. So we would recommend keeping that and not taking a deduct.
Yeah, and this is Ken again. Another reason why we would show that on the bid form is the state, there's auditors. What they'll do is they'll take a layman's approach to it, or layman's mathematical approach to it, and literally take that straight percentage out of the project, which would be tens of thousands of dollars in lieu of the $4,000 that we're showing. So it's more of a formality for the state, so that way they pay for as much as they possibly can on your folks' roof.
Okay. And then the other question on ACM pricing, Silktown had no ACM pricing at all. The other unit prices that were provided by Young seemed to be in line with the other bidders, at least the low bidders anyway. Is there asbestos or not? And why would Silktown say there is none, or no unit pricing for it?
Again, unit prices are in the event of these things being discovered. We had an environmental report done. However, these were furnished by our environmental team for in case these items were discovered. So, to be quite honest with you, I'm not sure why Silktown would put 0 and the rest would put adequate pricing in there. Again, this is just so we could maintain any potential change orders and or credits. The
right.
Unit pricing, that is, as you know. But yeah, that's a good question. I'd have to give Silktown a call and see that if you'd like me to, or if. No,
I'm just curious why they were the only bidder that didn't have it. That's all.
Okay.
at all.
And it
Well,
could
I
also
think
be,
it depends on where, if we award to the other, to Young, then it's kind of a moot point.
It is.
Well,
It could
it'll
also
be-
be that they have their in-house abatement team, and it would be truly no extra cost to remove these items.
Okay. And then the only other question I had on the Tectum deck replacement, the allowance, these numbers are included in the base bid, correct, these allowances?
No.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay,
And if they are not used, we will expect those monies returned to us.
right. I was just curious why Young's was so paltry compared to everybody else. They're only giving you $2,600 back, so to speak, if you don't use it for Tectum deck. Where everybody else is giving you from $400 up to $13,000.
That's always an interesting it's an interesting question. Where exactly did the delta come from between the low bidder and the next low bidder? Because it's roughly 10%, and everybody's using prevailing wage. They're using similar material packages. So you wonder how somebody that difference comes up. Did they just were they just that hungry to keep everybody in Fairfield, since there were actually 4 sites that were on the market this past couple of weeks right here in Fairfield, and it might have been extremely attractive to them, and they cut their profit line to the bone. So you really can't make heads or tails of some of the specific numbers.
Right, and I get that, but the bigger question is, if we're going to be taking the money back at some point, I'm not sure we will or not, but we're getting back so little from them on that compared to even Silktown, for example, which is almost not quite 4 times, but certainly 3.5 times more. But not big deal. It's just so curious.
Okay.
But you have to look at the base bids too.
Right.
I mean, Young is $300,000 or $200,000 less.
Yeah, correct.
So
yeah.
Okay.
Take it all into consideration.
Yeah, there's always
That's all
something that's out of line. Look at Greenwood's with the warranty deduct.
Right.
They put a massive number on it in comparison to what we're seeing elsewhere.
Or maybe they just don't want to give money back, They figure they're cutting it to the bone, like you said. If they're the low bidder, they're pricing everything really tight, and they don't want to deduct alternate that, they have to return anything.
Yeah, could very well be.
Okay. I think any questions that I had have been asked by everybody else on the committee. So, anybody have anything else that they wish to talk about? No? Okay.
I'm good.
Let's move on to agenda item number 2, which is to recommend the final approval of the contract of Holland Hill. I recommend that we approve the, let me get this name up here, Young Development, LLC, from Hamden, Connecticut, in the amount of $1,170,400. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I'll
I'll
second it.
second.
All right. Do we have any further discussion? Going to recommend approval of this? What? Any ayes?
Aye.
Aye.
I can't tell. Is that Jennifer? You got everybody's name that you need?
Yes.
I think you got everybody.
Okay. All right. Motion carried. The only item that we have left is old business. Do we have anything?
It's now old business that we spoke about it in the previous discussion. That what I would like to do is have Silver Petroselli, they typically, in their contract right now, is site visits once a week. I'd like them to keep a closer eye on young developers. So for the next meeting, we'll have a proposal from Silver Petroselli for additional site visits under CA that we can give them a change on.
Can we do that Sal, can we do that on a unit basis? And Ken, can we do it on a unit basis? Because, you know, if you go there once a week and they're performing and they're on schedule, it may not be necessary.
I'll be honest with you. I have to defer to David Stein as to how he would want to handle that.
Okay.
Sal had instructed us just today, but yes, I'll note that when I speak with Dave regarding that, and we'll work with Sal.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and they do invoice as you see. They do invoice their per visit number. So even if we plan 2 visits a week for the duration and don't use them, they don't bill them. So I don't expect to be bringing forward a scary number, and we have the room on this budget for that. So it's a good belt and suspenders thing to do.
Okay.
I have a question. Relative to that, Sal.
Sure.
Supposing that they really underperformed quite a bit, and this started to accumulate into. Is there ever a back charge that could be allocated on the contractor?
We do have liquidated damages built into our project manual.
Yeah, standard AIA agreement would have some provisions for that, I'm sure. I have not read it recently, but normally you do. As you know, though, it's hard to collect. You know, you gotta prove a lot of things. They can blame a lot of things on the weather and everything else. So.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that you have to keep a close eye on them because we don't want them to overstart their work such that they can't complete the sections that they're doing. So, you know, I would rather have them tap out and say, gee, I can't do all the roof sections this summer, and let me get all of these areas tight, and we'll work on an extended schedule for next summer.
Exactly.
I would rather that happen. But, you know, truthfully, we don't have the scope of work that we have is around 40,000 square feet. So it is a very doable summer project. It's not even, you know, if it was another contractor, I wouldn't bat an eye that they can meet that work load and get it done. So I think we have a lot of opportunities and.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything further with anybody? Anybody else? Anything further? All right. If no objection, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Meeting's adjourned.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.